The world outside was quiet, blanketed in freshly fallen snow that sparkled under the soft glow of the winter moon. The trees were heavy with frost, their branches bending gently, as if bowing to the magic of the night. A gentle hush had settled over the village, and inside, warmth radiated from small cottages, casting golden light onto the white streets. Tonight, the story begins softly, carrying you into a peaceful Christmas Eve, where magic drifts in every snowflake, and gentle love waits quietly in the heart of the forest. Snow White walked slowly along the snowy path, her cloak brushing lightly against the snow. The crisp air filled her lungs, carrying the scent of pine and the faint sweetness of gingerbread from nearby cottages. She could hear the soft whisper of the wind through the trees, a lullaby that seemed to guide her steps. Her heart felt calm tonight, even though her journey had been long. In the distance, warm lights flickered from a small castle atop a hill, hinting at a gathering filled with joy, love, and quiet celebration. She felt a gentle pull toward it, a mixture of curiosity and hope, as if something tender and unexpected awaited her. As she walked, the snowflakes swirled around her, catching the moonlight and casting a soft, silvery glow. Each step was accompanied by the gentle crunch of snow beneath her boots, a rhythm that gradually began to soothe both her mind and body. Tonight is a night for peace, for gentle wonder, and for the quiet magic of Christmas. Let your breath follow hers, slow and calm, letting your body relax and your mind drift into the soft, snowy world around Snow White. The castle's lights glimmered faintly through the trees, guiding her onward, promising warmth, safety, and perhaps even a whisper of romance that would gently unfold with the night. And as Snow White took each careful, calm step forward, you too can settle deeper into comfort, allowing your own heart to slow, your mind to ease, and sleep to approach quietly, softly, like the falling snow. Snow White paused for a moment at the edge of the forest, the tall evergreens standing like silent guardians in the moonlight. The snow glimmered softly beneath their branches, and the quiet was so complete it felt as though the world itself were holding its breath. She wrapped her cloak tighter, feeling the warmth of the wool against her skin, and breathed in the crisp winter air. As she stepped forward again, a soft melody reached her ears, a faint tinkling, like wind chimes carried on the breeze. It was subtle, delicate, and almost dreamlike, as though the forest itself were singing a lullaby for the night. Snow White's steps slowed, her heart softening with each note, feeling a calm she hadn't known for many days. The castle lights grew brighter, reflected in the snow, shimmering like tiny stars scattered across the ground. Snow White smiled to herself, her thoughts drifting to the warmth inside, the promise of firelight, the smell of freshly baked treats, and perhaps the sight of someone waiting, kind and gentle, who would share the quiet magic of this snowy Christmas night with her. As she walked, she noticed small details along the path, holly branches dusted with snow, the sparkle of icicles hanging from eaves, and the gentle paw prints of woodland creatures that had passed this way. Each tiny sign of life felt like a whispered reminder that the world was alive, tender and full of wonder, even in the stillness of winter. Snow White's steps became slower, more mindful, each one guiding her closer to the castle. Her thoughts softer with the rhythm of her walking, and a sense of calm spread through her body. The night, the snow, and the faint melody from the forest all seemed to work together, coaxing her toward serenity, warmth, and gentle sleep. Tonight the world was peaceful, and the magic of Christmas wrapped everything in a quiet embrace. With each breath she took, you can let yourself sink deeper into this calm, imagining the snowflakes drifting softly, the soft glow of distant lights, and the gentle promise of love and warmth awaiting Snow White, and perhaps you too. The path through the forest opened onto a small clearing, where the snow lay thick and untouched. Snow White paused to look around, marveling at the quiet beauty of the world. The moonlight cast a silver glow over the scene, and the soft crunch of her boots on the snow seemed almost too loud in the hushed night. She noticed a delicate trail of lights ahead, lanterns hanging from the branches of the trees, swaying gently with the breeze. Their warm golden glow reflected off the snow, creating a pathway that led her closer to the castle. Each step along the illuminated path felt like a gentle invitation, urging her to continue, while a soft sense of anticipation bloomed quietly in her chest. Snow White breathed slowly, letting the crisp winter air fill her lungs and then release it with ease. The forest seemed alive not in noise, but in a peaceful awareness. Tiny snowflakes drifted lazily from the branches, melting softly as they touched her cloak and hair. A pair of rabbits peeked from behind a tree, their eyes bright in the moonlight, before hopping away silently. As she followed the glowing lanterns, she thought of the warmth inside the castle. Perhaps a fire awaited, casting flickering shadows across polished wooden floors. Perhaps soft music would drift through the hallways, and perhaps, just perhaps, someone kind and gentle would greet her, sharing a quiet, magical moment on this serene Christmas night. The stillness of the forest, the silver moon, and the soft lantern glow combined into a rhythm that was calming, hypnotic, and unhurried. Each step Snow White took mirrored a slow breath you can follow, letting your body release tension and your mind drift closer to sleep. With each moment, the magic of the night became more tangible. The hush of the snow, the gentle glow, the promise of warmth and comfort ahead, it all worked together, carrying Snow White and you toward rest, serenity, and the gentle peace of Christmas Eve. The castle now stood fully in view, its towers dusted with snow, golden lights twinkling from the windows like tiny stars welcoming her arrival. Snow White's heart fluttered softly, a gentle warmth spreading as she approached the gates. The world seemed to slow, each footstep deliberate, as if the snow itself were guiding her toward the magic waiting inside. She stepped into the courtyard, where the soft glow of lanterns lit the snow-covered stones. Evergreen wreaths dusted with frost adorned the castle doors, and the faint scent of pine and cinnamon filled the crisp night air. Snow White paused for a moment, letting the tranquility of the scene sink deep into her chest. Inside, warmth radiated from the hearth, filling the grand hall with a golden glow. The fire crackled softly, casting gentle shadows across the walls and reflecting on the polished wooden floors. Snow White's eyes softened at the sight of the familiar comfort, the welcoming glow, the scent of sweet treats baking nearby, and the quiet hum of music drifting gently through the air. A figure appeared near the hearth, a kind, gentle presence she had been hoping for. His eyes held a soft warmth, and his smile was calm and inviting. Snow White's heart lifted slightly, feeling the peaceful connection that had grown during her quiet journey through the snowy forest. They didn't need to speak. The stillness, the warmth, and the shared presence said more than words ever could. The snow outside continued to fall silently, blanketing the world in serenity. Inside, the firelight flickered across the room, wrapping Snow White and her companion in golden warmth. Every sound, the soft crackle of embers, the faint shuffle of footsteps, and the distant notes of winter music formed a soothing lullaby that invited rest and calm. Snow White moved closer, letting the warmth of the room and the steady presence beside her fill her senses. Her breathing slowed, and you could follow along, letting each inhale and exhale become a soft rhythm, a gentle guide toward relaxation and sleep. Tonight, love, magic, and Christmas comfort mingle softly, wrapping Snow White and you in a tender embrace. The forest, the snow, and the gentle glow of the castle work together to calm the mind and invite the heart to settle, carrying you gently into dreams shaped by warmth, quiet, and winter's magic. Snow White settled near the hearth, the warmth from the fire slowly easing the chill from her journey. Outside, the snow continued its quiet descent, covering the courtyard and towers in soft, untouched white. Each flake seemed to carry a tiny sparkle of magic, drifting lazily through the cold night air. Her companion offered her a gentle smile, and she returned it, feeling a calmness settle deep into her chest. There was no hurry, no urgency, only the slow, comforting rhythm of the night, the gentle crackle of the fire, and the soft ambiance of Christmas Eve. The scent of pine and cinnamon filled the room, mingling with the warmth of the fire and the faint glow of lanterns along the walls. Snow White let herself breathe deeply, feeling the peace of the evening wrap around her like a soft blanket. Outside the castle, the moonlight caught the snowflakes, making them shimmer against the dark silhouette of the forest. Inside, the soft notes of music drifted faintly from the hallways, a gentle tune that seemed composed to match the heartbeat of the night itself. Snow White's eyes softened as she glanced at her companion, who remained close but silent, sharing the warmth without words. The calm, gentle presence of another being, combined with the magic of the softly falling snow, created a cocoon of serenity. Each breath she took could be followed by your own slow, steady, and relaxed, guiding your body and mind toward sleep. She traced her fingers lightly along the edge of the blanket, feeling the fabric warm and comforting. Outside, the snow continued its quiet journey to the ground, softening the world and carrying with it the hush of winter. In this quiet, magical moment, Snow White felt the subtle, tender power of love and the soft embrace of Christmas magic. The night was patient, gentle, and unhurried, offering peace and rest to all who allowed themselves to surrender to its calm. With each breath, each heartbeat, and each snowflake drifting outside, you too can let go, allowing the warmth, magic, and serenity of the story to guide you deeper into calm, peaceful sleep. The castle was quiet now, wrapped in the soft hush of the snowy night. Snow White moved slowly toward the grand windows, her eyes following the gentle dance of snowflakes outside. Each flake seemed to float deliberately, catching the moonlight and scattering it like tiny, shimmering stars across the courtyard. Her companion remained nearby, silent and calm, radiating warmth and a steady presence that made the room feel even more serene. Snow White let herself breathe slowly, letting the rhythm of the night settle into her chest and guide her into a sense of deep calm. The fire's glow flickered softly, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Each movement of light seemed like a gentle heartbeat, echoing the quiet pulse of the room. She glanced toward the distant tower spire, where the final lantern flickered in the night, a sentinel of warmth against the cold winter sky. Outside, the forest lay still, muffled by layers of snow. Only the occasional brush of a branch or a faint shuffle of a small animal broke the silence, blending seamlessly into the lullaby of the evening. Snow White let the peaceful rhythm of the night carry her thoughts away, each moment dissolving gently, leaving only calm and warmth. Her companion extended a hand, and she reached for it instinctively, feeling the soft connection between them. No words were needed. The closeness, the warmth, and the quiet presence were enough. Together they watched the snow fall, letting its magic and stillness seep into their hearts, into every gentle beat of the evening. Snow White's eyes grew heavy as she leaned closer, the quiet warmth wrapping around her like a soft blanket. Each breath mirrored the slow rhythm of the falling snow, a perfect lullaby inviting the body and mind to relax. The magic of Christmas Eve lingered in the air, soft, patient, and tender, bringing with it a sense of peace and gentle love that promised restful sleep. Every flicker of firelight, every snowflake drifting outside, and every calm heartbeat inside the castle worked together to guide both Snow White and you toward serene dreams filled with warmth, quiet, and winter wonder. Snow White shifted slightly by the window, letting her gaze wander across the snowy courtyard. The castle's towers gleamed softly under the pale moonlight, their spires dusted in frost. The snowflakes drifted slowly, each one catching the faint glow of lanterns hanging along the walls, creating tiny, sparkling reflections that danced gently on the ground. Her companion stayed quietly beside her, a calm presence that brought comfort without words. Snow White felt the warmth of their closeness, steady and reassuring, and she breathed in the faint scent of pine and candle wax that mingled with the crisp winter air. Beyond the castle walls, the forest lay hushed, each branch heavy with snow, every animal nestled safely in its den. The night carried a quiet rhythm, the soft brushing of snow against branches, the faint shimmer of moonlight across the frozen ground, and the delicate rustle of her companion's movement as they settled closer to her side. Snow White let her hands rest gently together, following the steady warmth and calm presence beside her. The firelight flickered softly, casting golden shadows across the walls, blending seamlessly with the silver-blue glow of the moonlit snow. The combination of warmth, glow, and gentle hush wrapped around her like a soft, protective blanket. "Christmas Eve feels different this year," she whispered softly, her voice barely audible. "Like magic is everywhere, even in the smallest moments." Her companion reached out, brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. The simple gesture, quiet and tender, sent a small shiver of delight through her. There was no rush, no urgency, only the soft, patient rhythm of the night and the calm assurance of shared presence. Snow White closed her eyes for a moment, letting the slow rhythm of her breathing match the subtle cadence of the falling snow. Each inhale and exhale carried her closer to serenity, deeper into the quiet, magical world surrounding the castle. Outside, snow continued its gentle descent, blanketing the forest and courtyard alike. Inside, the warmth, love, and tender calm of the castle guided her toward a peaceful, dreamy state, inviting sleep to arrive gently, like a quiet snowfall settling on the world. The quiet of the night wrapped the castle in stillness, broken only by the soft crackle of the dying fire. Snow White leaned slightly against her companion, the warmth between them steady and comforting. Outside, the snowflakes fell lazily, drifting through the air and settling softly on the courtyard, creating a blanket of glimmering white. The lanterns along the walls cast a gentle golden light across the snow, and the moon peeked from behind thin clouds, adding its silver glow to the scene. Each shimmer, each flicker, felt like a small note in a lullaby, guiding Snow White and you into deeper calm and relaxation. Her companion spoke softly, their voice carrying the warmth of the fire. "The world feels quiet tonight, doesn't it?" they whispered. Snow White nodded, letting the words sink into her chest. "It does," she murmured, "as if Christmas itself is holding us gently, letting us breathe, letting us rest." The castle hall seemed suspended in time. Shadows danced slowly along the walls, moving in rhythm with the fire's glow. The scent of pine, cinnamon, and a hint of winter frost filled the air, creating a perfect calm that seeped into every thought, every heartbeat. Snow White watched the snow outside, noticing the tiny footprints of woodland creatures that had passed earlier in the evening. Each small detail, each quiet sound, added to the serene rhythm of the night, making the world feel soft, safe, and magical. Her companion reached for her hand again, and she held it gently, letting the steady warmth and quiet connection anchor her to the moment. Words were unnecessary. The stillness, the comfort, and the gentle presence spoke more than any conversation could. As Snow White's eyelids grew heavy, she felt the calm of the castle, the quiet magic of the snow, and the warmth of shared presence lull her further into tranquility. Each breath mirrored the slow fall of snowflakes, each heartbeat aligned with the gentle rhythm of the night, guiding her closer to sleep. Christmas Eve continued its soft, patient magic wrapping Snow White and her companion in warmth, love, and peace. And as the fire's glow dimmed and the snow settled, the night invited rest, dreams, and gentle, serene slumber. Snow White and her companion moved closer to the fire, the warmth now wrapping them like a soft cocoon. The castle hall was quiet, every sound muted by the thick snowfall outside. The golden glow of the lanterns mixed with the silver light of the moon, creating a magical shimmer that filled the room with calm and serenity. Outside, the snowflakes swirled gently, some catching the light and twinkling like tiny stars drifting down from the sky. Snow White watched them fall, mesmerized by their delicate dance, and felt her body relax further with each passing moment. The hush of the forest, the blanket of snow, and the warmth of the castle combined into a lullaby only the heart could understand. Her companion leaned closer, a gentle smile brushing their lips. "Moments like this," they whispered, "remind us that magic isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and gentle." Snow White nodded, her eyes soft. "Exactly," she replied, "and it makes everything feel possible, even in the coldest winter nights." The scent of pine and cinnamon drifted through the room, and a soft melody from a distant corner of the castle added a delicate rhythm to the evening. Snow White let her thoughts drift with the music, feeling a gentle peace settle into her mind. Each note, each flicker of firelight guided her closer to the calm, warm feeling of complete rest. Their hands intertwined again, fingers laced together, a silent reassurance that nothing needed to be said. The quiet magic of Christmas Eve filled every corner of the castle, from the snowy courtyard to the golden-lit hall, embracing them both in a tender, patient hug. Snow White's eyes grew heavy as the warmth, the quiet, and the gentle presence of her companion wrapped around her. Each slow breath, each gentle heartbeat, aligned with the rhythm of the softly falling snow outside, inviting her deeper into serenity. And in that still, magical night, Snow White felt the tender calm of love, the quiet wonder of winter, and the soft, patient embrace of Christmas, ready to carry her and you into peaceful dreams. The castle felt even quieter now, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath in reverence for the gentle night outside. Snow White sank slightly into the soft warmth of the firelight, her companion's hand still resting in hers. Each subtle flicker of the flames seemed to whisper calm, carrying with it the soft magic of Christmas Eve. Outside, snow continued to drift slowly, layering the courtyard and forest with untouched white. The moon peeked occasionally through wisps of cloud, casting silvery light that mingled with the golden glow of lanterns. Snowflakes sparkled as they fell, turning the night into a soft, twinkling dreamscape. Her companion's voice was a quiet murmur, almost blending with the hush of the snow. "I think the world pauses sometimes," they said, "so we can notice the little moments that truly matter." Snow White's lips curved into a gentle smile. "Yes," she whispered, "the small, quiet things like warmth, comfort, and presence." The soft scent of pine and cinnamon lingered in the air, and the faint notes of distant music drifted through the halls. Snow White let her mind follow the gentle rhythm of the melody, allowing it to ease her thoughts and invite the calm of the night deeper into her heart. She glanced at her companion, eyes soft and full of quiet affection. The firelight glimmered across their face, highlighting the tender calm in their expression. No words were needed. The gentle presence, the warmth of their hand, and the shared quiet of the castle spoke volumes. Snow White leaned closer, letting the steady warmth and gentle stillness wrap her senses. The night moved slowly, unhurried and patient, each passing moment deepening the serenity, each breath guiding her closer to sleep. Outside, the snow settled silently, muffling the world in softness, while inside, the castle hummed with quiet magic. Love, warmth, and Christmas serenity filled the room, inviting Snow White and you to drift into dreams filled with gentle wonder, peaceful rest, and tender winter magic. The fire's glow softened further, painting the castle hall in warm amber hues. Snow White rested near the hearth, the gentle crackle of embers blending with the hush of the snowy night outside. Each breath she took felt slower, deeper, as though the calm of the castle had settled into her very being. Outside, snowflakes drifted lazily, their descent almost hypnotic. They caught the moonlight, scattering tiny glimmers across the courtyard and the forest beyond. Snow White watched them, letting each soft sparkle ease her mind and guide her heart into gentle stillness. Her companion remained quietly by her side, their presence steady and comforting. No words were needed. The warmth of their hand, the subtle rhythm of their breathing, and the quiet shared space formed a tender cocoon of calm. Snow White let herself lean slightly closer, savoring the steady, soothing warmth. "The night feels endless," she murmured softly, "but in the best way, like it's made for rest, for quiet, for peace." "Yes," her companion whispered back, "and for love. The kind that doesn't rush, that settles in gently and patiently." The castle seemed to respond to them, holding the soft magic of the season in every stone and beam. The faint scent of pine and cinnamon lingered in the air, weaving with the warmth from the hearth to create a cocoon of comfort. Outside, the snow muted the world, wrapping the forest in quiet serenity. Snow White closed her eyes for a moment, letting the rhythm of her breathing match the gentle drift of snowflakes. Each exhale released tension. Each inhale drew in warmth and calm. The soft glow of lanterns along the walls and the subtle flicker of the fire formed a lullaby for the senses, guiding both body and mind into deeper relaxation. The night carried on softly, carrying Snow White and you toward dreams filled with winter magic, tender love, and peaceful Christmas wonder. The calm of the evening, the warmth of shared presence, and the gentle hush of snowfall worked together to invite sleep, quiet, and serenity. The night deepened, not darker, but softer, like a blanket pulled gently higher for comfort. Snow White remained near the fire, her body relaxed, her thoughts drifting slowly, peacefully. The castle no longer felt large or echoing. It felt close, protective, as though it existed only for this quiet moment. Beyond the tall windows, snow continued to fall in unhurried patterns. Each flake settled gently upon the world, smoothing edges, quieting corners, softening everything it touched. Snow White watched for a moment, then allowed her eyelids to rest halfway closed, listening instead to the fire, to the stillness, to the calm presence beside her. Her companion shifted slightly, careful not to disturb the peace. The movement was subtle, but reassuring, like a reminder that warmth and closeness were near. Snow White felt a quiet happiness bloom in her chest, steady and comforting, the kind that doesn't rush or demand attention. Somewhere deep within the castle, a clock chimed softly, marking time without urgency. The sound faded quickly, absorbed by thick stone walls and falling snow. Snow White smiled faintly, knowing the night had plenty of time. Nothing needed to happen. Nothing needed to change. The fire crackled gently, sending slow waves of warmth through the room. Snow White focused on the sensation, the heat on her skin, the steady rhythm of her breathing, the way her body felt heavier, calmer, more at ease with each passing moment. Her thoughts wandered gently, like drifting snowflakes, unformed and unhurried. She imagined peaceful dreams waiting just beyond wakefulness, dreams filled with winter light, quiet laughter, and the soft promise of love that endures without effort. As the castle rested and the world outside slept beneath its snowy blanket, Snow White allowed herself to sink deeper into stillness. The night, the warmth, and the gentle magic of Christmas wrapped around her completely, guiding her and you toward rest that felt safe, tender, and deeply peaceful. A gentle stillness settled over the castle, the kind that arrives only when the world feels safe enough to rest. Snow White shifted slightly, the warmth of the room holding her as though it had been waiting for her to relax this deeply. The fire no longer flickered brightly. It glowed steadily, patient and calm, like a heartbeat in the quiet hall. From the high windows, moonlight spilled across the stone floor in soft silver ribbons. The snow outside reflected that light back toward the castle, making the night feel luminous rather than dark. Snow White noticed how even the shadows seemed gentle now, rounded at the edges, softened by winter's hush. Her companion remained close, their presence steady and reassuring. A quiet closeness lingered between them, unspoken and unhurried. Snow White felt no need to speak. The comfort of shared silence felt warmer than words, like a promise that didn't need to be explained. Somewhere in the distance a bell rang faintly, perhaps from the village below, welcoming Christmas night with quiet reverence. The sound floated through the air and faded, leaving behind a deeper calm. Snow White's breathing slowed naturally, each inhale cool and peaceful, each exhale warm and heavy. She rested her head back, eyes closing fully now. Images drifted through her thoughts, snow-covered rooftops glowing with candlelight, evergreen branches dusted with frost, gentle laughter carried on winter air. Each thought passed softly, like clouds moving across a moonlit sky. The castle seemed to breathe with her, ancient walls settling into rest. Snow White felt herself sinking deeper into comfort, supported by warmth, by love, by the quiet magic of Christmas. Nothing pulled at her attention. Nothing asked her to stay awake. Wrapped in winter stillness and tender affection, she drifted closer to sleep, letting the night carry her gently forward toward dreams shaped by peace, romance, and the soft promise of morning. The fire had settled into glowing embers, its warmth steady and reassuring. Snow White felt the quiet sink deeper into her bones, as though the night itself were tucking her in. The castle no longer felt vast or echoing. It felt intimate, like a single, protected space made just for rest. Outside, the snowfall soft even more, flakes drifting lazily through the moonlight. They touched the ground without sound, layering the world in calm. Snow White imagined the forest resting beneath that blanket, every branch, every path held gently in winter's embrace. Her companion adjusted the cloak around her shoulders, the movement slow and careful. The fabric was warm, carrying the faint scent of pine and wood smoke. Snow White smiled faintly, not opening her eyes, simply feeling the comfort of being cared for in such a quiet way. Moments passed without measure. Time seemed to stretch and blur, losing its sharp edges. The soft glow of lanterns along the walls dimmed slightly, their light steady and calm, encouraging rest rather than wakefulness. Snow White's thoughts grew fewer now, drifting like feathers instead of forming clear shapes. Her breathing became deep and even, matching the gentle rhythm of the night. Each breath felt like a small release, letting go of the day, letting go of effort. Somewhere beyond the castle walls the village slept, wrapped in Christmas peace. Candles burned low, bells were silent, and the world seemed to agree that this was a time for stillness. Snow White rested fully now, surrounded by warmth, quiet love, and the soft magic of winter. The night held her gently, guiding her and you closer to sleep, toward dreams that felt safe, romantic, and endlessly calm. The castle hall felt timeless. Its quiet stretched wide like the snow-covered forest beyond the windows. Snow White settled more fully into the warmth by the fire, the soft glow brushing her cheeks and reflecting gently in her eyes. Her companion remained close, silent, but ever present, a steady heartbeat beside her own. The snow outside fell slower now, each flake drifting lazily, as though the night itself had slowed to match the rhythm of her breathing. The moonlight touched the courtyard, turning the snow into a sea of silver that shimmered faintly with every soft gust of wind. It seemed impossible to resist the peaceful lull that the winter night carried with it, a lullaby only the world could sing. Inside, the scent of pine mingled with the subtle sweetness of baked treats, lingering in the air and comforting the senses. Snow White stretched her hands toward the fire, letting the heat flow into her fingers, arms, and heart. The warmth seemed to melt away the faintest traces of worry. leaving only calm on the gentle pulse of serene anticipation. Her companion's eyes met hers, soft and kind, filled with quiet admiration. Words were unnecessary here. Their shared glance carried all the tenderness, care, and quiet love that the night had nurtured. Snow White let herself relax into that unspoken bond, allowing it to steady her thoughts and deepen her sense of ease. Outside, the forest rested under its thick white blanket. The hush of the snow, the faint movement of branches, and the occasional shimmer of a falling flake created a rhythm that felt like a gentle massage to the mind. Snow White's breaths grew slower, deeper, matching the soft cadence of the winter night. She leaned back slightly, letting the firelight dance across her features, and the quiet magic of Christmas settle over her completely. Every heartbeat, every breath, every flicker of light became part of a gentle lullaby, inviting her and you to drift further into warmth, love, and restful sleep. Tonight, the world paused for tender serenity. Snow White and her companion were safe, embraced by the magic of Christmas, the calm of falling snow, and the patient quiet of love shared without words. The castle seemed to breathe softly, each creak of timber and flicker of firelight, a quiet reminder that the night was alive, yet utterly calm. Snow White sat near the hearth, feeling the warmth seep into her skin, mingling with the soft magic of the snowy night outside. The world beyond the windows was a blanket of silver, every tree and rooftop coated in untouched snow, sparkling in the moonlight. Her companion moved slightly closer, offering a reassuring presence that required no words. Snow White let her hand rest in theirs, feeling the quiet connection spread warmth through her chest. The hush of the room, combined with the soft rhythm of her breathing and the occasional murmur of the fire, wrapped her in gentle serenity. Outside, snowflakes drifted lazily, each one catching the light of the moon or the lanterns lining the castle walls. They fell silently, softly, almost as if the world were holding its breath, giving space for the night's calm and wonder to take full hold. Snow White watched them float down, her eyes heavy but her mind alive with the tender magic of Christmas Eve. The subtle scent of pine and cinnamon lingered in the air, mingling with the warmth of the fire. Each inhale carried relaxation deeper into her body. Each exhale released tension and thought, leaving only a quiet, soft heartbeat in rhythm with the world around her. Her companion's gaze met hers, calm and patient, and Snow White felt a gentle flutter of happiness that wasn't loud or urgent, but steady and comforting. The kind of warmth that comes from being seen, held, and understood without needing to speak. She leaned back, letting herself sink into the cushions, listening to the soft whispers of the night, the distant sway of snow-laden branches, the faint shimmer of moonlight on the frozen courtyard, the subtle crackle of embers fading slowly in the hearth. Each tiny detail was a note in a lullaby, guiding her and you toward deeper relaxation. Tonight, the castle, the forest, and the falling snow all seemed to conspire to soothe, calm, and nurture. The quiet magic of Christmas surrounded Snow White, her companion, and anyone who followed her story into this serene, tender world. And as the night stretched gently onward, you could feel your body, heart, and mind begin to drift slowly into the sweet embrace of sleep. A soft wind whispered through the frosted towers, carrying the scent of pine and snow. Snow White stood at a balcony overlooking the courtyard, her cloak wrapped snugly around her shoulders. The castle below twinkled with lanterns, and the snow glimmered like a field of tiny stars. The night felt infinite, yet calm, as though time had slowed to cradle her in its gentle arms. Her companion joined her silently, their presence warm and grounding. Without a word they offered a hand, and Snow White took it, feeling the tender assurance that comes from shared quiet. Together they watched the snowflakes drift lazily, their shapes catching the soft moonlight, spinning like tiny dancers in the still night air. The distant sound of a bell from the village chimed faintly, echoing through the frosted air. It was a reminder that Christmas Eve was alive beyond the castle walls, yet the hush of this private world made the moment feel suspended in gentle magic. Snow White felt a subtle flutter in her chest, a sweet warmth that was not urgent but steady, the quiet heartbeat of budding love. Inside, the firelight flickered through the tall windows, casting dancing shadows across the balcony floor. Snow White's eyes softened as she glanced at her companion. Their gaze met, a silent acknowledgment of shared serenity and the quiet promise of intimacy. The world was vast, the night infinite, yet here, in this gentle embrace, everything felt centered, safe, and tender. She breathed slowly, following the rhythm of the night. Each inhale carried the crisp winter air, tinged with pine and snow, while each exhale released the tension of the day, the worry, the world outside this quiet castle. The snow continued to fall, soft and unhurried, layering the world in calm and wonder. The balcony, the castle, and the softly falling snow all formed a cocoon of serenity, a space where love and peace existed in perfect balance. Snow White leaned slightly closer, letting the warmth, quiet magic, and the tender presence of her companion guiding you toward a deep, gentle rest. The night had grown softer, quieter, as if the castle itself were whispering a lullaby. Snow White wandered slowly along the corridor, her cloak brushing lightly against the stone floor. Outside, snowflakes glimmered under the moonlight, drifting down to settle silently on the frosted gardens and castle rooftops. Her companion followed, keeping just close enough to share warmth, their presence steady and calm. The quiet footsteps on the smooth floor, the faint crackle of the dying fire from the hall behind them, and the distant tinkle of a bell from the village below created a rhythm that felt like a gentle heartbeat. Snow White paused by a window, leaning her forehead lightly against the cool glass. The world outside looked magical, serene, and almost dreamlike. The snow-laden trees sparkled like crystal, and the lanterns along the streets twinkled softly, casting their golden glow across the white landscape. Her companion reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face, and Snow White felt a warmth spread through her chest. The night, the snow, and the quiet intimacy of this shared moment all wove together into a tapestry of calm, love, and serenity. The subtle scents of pine, cinnamon, and faint smoke from the hearth mingled in the air, carrying the comfort of home and the gentle enchantment of Christmas Eve. Snow White let herself breathe slowly, matching her inhale and exhale to the soft rhythm of the falling snow, feeling each breath loosen any tension and deepen her sense of peace. For a while, no words were necessary. The quiet presence of another heart near hers, the magical hush of winter, and the soft glow of the castle's lanterns spoke volumes. Snow White felt safe, cherished, and fully embraced by the tender calm of the season. As the snow continued its patient descent, she closed her eyes, letting the warmth, love, and gentle magic of Christmas carry her and you further into serenity, toward dreams filled with quiet wonder, romance, and soft, restful sleep. The castle was quiet now, every corridor and hall wrapped in a peaceful hush. Snow White lingered near the grand window, watching the snow settle on the courtyard below. Each flake caught the lantern light, shimmering faintly like scattered diamonds across the frosted ground. Her companion moved close, a calm presence that seemed to steady the very air around her. Without speaking, they offered their hand, and Snow White took it, feeling the warmth and reassurance flow between them. The stillness of the night wrapped around them both, soft and unhurried, like a blanket tucking them gently into the moment. Outside, the forest lay heavy under its snowy cover. The occasional sway of a branch or a distant, muffled sound was absorbed instantly by the thick blanket of snow, leaving only a soft, unbroken serenity. Snow White inhaled slowly, savoring the crisp winter air tinged with pine and the faint sweetness of cinnamon from the castle kitchens. The fire's glow flickered softly, casting long, tender shadows across the stone floor. Snow White's eyes followed the gentle dance of light, letting each movement soothe her mind, each flicker ease her thoughts. Her companion's gaze met hers again, warm and patient, conveying love without words, a quiet promise of care that filled the room with calm. Snow White's breathing slowed, naturally syncing with the rhythm of the soft snowfall outside. Each breath became deeper, gentler, as the world seemed to pause around them. She imagined herself drifting through the quiet streets of the village below, where snow-laden rooftops glimmered under lanterns, each one a small beacon of light, warmth, and gentle magic. The night stretched on, tender and patient. Snow White leaned closer to her companion, feeling the steady comfort of their presence, the gentle pulse of the castle around her and the soft embrace of Christmas magic. Each heartbeat, each subtle sound, each drifting snowflake guided her and you further into calm, serenity, and the gentle edges of sleep. The castle seemed wrapped in a delicate stillness, as though the walls themselves were breathing in quiet harmony with the falling snow outside. Snow White walked slowly along the frost-dusted balcony, her cloak brushing softly against the stone. Each step was unhurried, measured, as though the night itself guided her gently forward. Her companion followed closely, their presence steady and comforting. Snow White reached for their hand, feeling the warmth flow through her, anchoring her in the soft magic of this moment. The moonlight spilled across the courtyard below, turning each snowflake into a tiny, shimmering star. Inside the castle, the faint flicker of the hearth in the distant hall painted golden reflections across the tall windows. The scent of pine, fresh snow, and cinnamon carried on the cold night air, mingling with the warmth between them and the hush of the castle's sleeping corridors. Snow White paused, resting her forehead lightly against the cool balcony railing. Her thoughts drifted like the snowflakes outside, soft, gentle, and free of urgency. She imagined the quiet village streets below, each home lit warmly, each family tucked into their own peaceful Christmas Eve, the world hushed in serenity. Her companion's hand brushed hers gently, a tender reminder of shared comfort. No words were needed. The quiet intimacy, the gentle rhythm of breath, and the soft glow of the moonlit snow spoke volumes. Snow White closed her eyes, letting the calm wash over her, deeper and deeper with each inhale and exhale. The night stretched patiently onward, carrying the promise of dreams filled with warmth, gentle love, and the quiet magic of winter. Snow White felt herself drifting, heart and mind lulled by the fire of love, the hush of the castle, and the soft, shimmering snowfall, ready to guide her and you toward the sweetest, most serene sleep. The castle lay in hushed repose, every corner filled with the quiet rhythm of Christmas Eve. Snow White rested near the balcony, wrapped in her cloak, feeling the gentle pulse of warmth from the castle and the steady presence of her companion by her side. Each snowflake outside seemed to float slowly, deliberately, settling softly upon rooftops, trees, and the frozen courtyard below. Her companion offered a soft smile, and Snow White returned it, letting herself feel the comfort and closeness. No words were necessary. The quiet companionship, the gentle brush of hands, and the warmth surrounding them spoke more profoundly than any conversation could. The moonlight painted silver paths across the snow, reflecting in Snow White's eyes as she watched the world in still wonder. The distant village chimed softly, a reminder of the peaceful celebrations unfolding elsewhere, yet the castle remained a secluded haven of magic and serenity. Inside, the fire's embers glowed faintly, adding a soft warmth to the golden light from the lanterns. The scent of pine, cinnamon, and winter frost wrapped around them, a gentle lullaby for the senses. Snow White let her breathing slow, matching the soft rhythm of the falling snow, each inhale drawing calm, each exhale releasing tension. She rested her head slightly against her companion, feeling the gentle heartbeat, the quiet warmth, and the tender presence that had grown into a steady comfort throughout the evening. The snow continued to drift outside, silent and patient, each flake a tiny note in the lullaby of the night. Snow White closed her eyes fully, surrendering to the serene embrace of the night, the magic of Christmas, and the warmth of shared love. Each heartbeat, each quiet breath, guided her and you closer to peaceful, gentle sleep, dreams filled with winter wonder, romance, and the comforting hush of a snowy Christmas Eve. The castle had grown even quieter, wrapped in the gentle hush of a snowy night. Snow White sat near the window, gazing at the courtyard blanketed in white, where snowflakes sparkled like tiny crystals under the moonlight. Every movement outside was softened by the snow, turning the world into a serene, magical landscape. Her companion stayed close, offering warmth and steady presence. Snow White reached for their hand, letting the simple touch carry a quiet reassurance. Together they watched the slow descent of snow, the silent rhythm mirroring the calm of their hearts, and the gentle pulse of the castle around them. The faint glow of lanterns and the soft flicker of distant embers cast tender shadows across the hall. Snow White breathed in deeply, the scent of pine, winter frost, and cinnamon mingling in the air. Each inhale brought calm, each exhale released lingering tension, drawing her closer to rest. Outside, the forest lay hushed beneath its snowy coat. The world seemed to pause entirely, letting the magic of Christmas Eve settle over everything. Snow White's eyes grew heavy as she leaned slightly toward her companion, feeling the steady warmth and gentle affection that had guided her through the night. She closed her eyes fully, surrendering to the quiet, the warmth, and the tender magic that filled the castle. The night, the snow, and the soft presence of love wrapped around her like a protective cocoon, inviting dreams filled with peace, romance, and gentle wonder. And as the snow continued its slow, patient fall, The castle, the forest, and the world beyond all seemed to agree. It was time for rest, for serene sleep, for the quiet magic of Christmas to cradle Snow White and you into gentle dreams. The castle was quiet now, every corner wrapped in soft shadows and gentle warmth. Snow White rested peacefully, her companion beside her, both embraced by the calm magic of Christmas Eve. Outside, snowflakes drifted slowly, each one a tiny whisper of serenity, settling softly on rooftops, trees, and the glimmering courtyard below. The night had shared its gentle lullaby, the quiet rhythm of falling snow, the warmth of love, and the tender glow of lanterns and firelight. Snow White's eyes were closed, her breathing steady, her heart at peace. The castle, the forest, and the world beyond had all become a cocoon of calm, holding her and you safely in its embrace. As the magic of Christmas settled fully, let your own body sink into the same serenity. Feel the warmth of quiet presence, the gentle pulse of love, and the soft hush of the winter night wrap around you. Each breath draws you deeper. Each heartbeat carries you closer to calm, peaceful sleep. Thank you for joining this gentle journey tonight. May the magic of love, the hush of winter, and the warmth of serene Christmas nights guide your dreams. From the Hypnoscope, sleep well, rest deeply, and let the quiet wonder of this season carry you into the sweetest dreams imaginable. Good night and Merry Christmas.